I teach a class at Georgia Tech called Design of Online Communities. It's a fun class. The students get to do a detailed study of an online site, and they use participant observation and interviewing. A year after the introduction of ChatGPT, a student handed in an assignment that was obviously AI written. Now, remember also that large language models were a bit worse then. And I called him into my office, and he immediately admitted that it was written by AI. And I said, that's okay. Tell me about what you were thinking when you worked on this assignment. And he knew nothing. I said, that's okay. Tell me about this general area of the course content. He knew nothing. I took a deep breath, and then I said, okay, that's all right. Tell me about the most basic content that we learned the first few weeks of the class. He knew nothing. There are two factors that are contributing to the current situation. One of them is bad habits that some students learned during the pandemic. Bad study habits, bad educational habits, and I believe some of the bad habits that were learned will take a long time to remediate. And it's kind of a double whammy because some of the same students who had to go to critical schooling years during the pandemic then were given AI. And AI is a constant temptation. You know, I was in a ride with an Uber driver not too long ago who was driving a Tesla. And he told me that ever since he got the Tesla, the temptation is always there to look down at his phone just for a minute. The temptation is always there to close his eyes just for a minute. The temptation is in front of our students all the time. The machine can do your homework for you. And, you know, students have this strange workload where assignments can pile up all at once. If you were in a job, you'd go to your boss and say, boss, I got 6 things due tomorrow. What do I do? And your boss would say, well, give priority to 1 and let me get so-and-so to help you with 2 and 3. And 4 and 5 can wait. Someone would help you. Students get work all dumped on them at the same time, and many of them haven't yet developed the planning skills to know that I better have started a week ago to get all this done at the same time. And under all that unreasonable pressure, here we have the temptation to close our eyes while driving. Well, I'll just let the machine do my homework for me this one time. But once you let the machine do your homework for you the first time, it becomes harder to do your own homework the second time, the third time, the fourth time. That student in my class didn't know the most basic material from the first couple weeks of class. How could he do the harder assignment towards the end of class? So you might think, in response to this, that I would try and ban AI in my classroom. And in fact, I chose to do the opposite, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's hard to do. I teach because I like interacting with students. I like the students who comes up to me after class and asks an insightful question. I don't teach because I want to play petty cop. I am sending you to student integrity. You have cheated. You get a 0. And it isn't even possible to educate those fairly because the race between AI detectors and large language models is never ending. The detector improves, but then the model improves, and on and on. So I can't ever conclusively prove that you cheated, and it's upsetting. I don't want to come after students for cheating. But there's a more important reason, and that's that, wait, if students are going to be using AI in their jobs, why aren't we teaching them how to use it in school? Now, I'm not telling you that I want them to be using it in their jobs. We could have a long conversation about that. And I'm not telling you that I think the environmental impact of using AI is justified. Let's just set those questions aside. Whether we like it or not, it is pretty likely that that's what's going to happen. So if they're going to be asked to use AI in the workplace, we need in our classrooms to teach them how to use it thoughtfully and how to use it responsibly. So what I've done is to try to adapt my class to AI, and that includes removing assignments that the AI can do. So for example, one of the first assignments in my class since I started teaching the class in 1998 was called Your Best and Worst Experiences in an Online Community. The assignment is to get you thinking about online interaction and how the technical and social features shape the human behavior that emerges, to get you to reflect on your personal experiences. I'll tell you a favorite story a student gave me from that assignment. She was working at a large software development company, and she got a really foul email from a coworker, really offensive, obscene. And it was from a guy she didn't even know. He worked on the far side of the building, all the way across the coding floor. And she hesitated a little, but then she took a deep breath, and she walked across the building and walked to his cubicle and said, "Why did you send me that message?" And he said, "What message?" And they looked carefully together at the header of the message and realized that it had been forged. A troll had sent it. He hadn't sent it at all. And that is how she met her husband. So you can think a little bit about how you could come to better understand online interaction by thinking about that story, by thinking about your own personal experiences. Now let me tell you what doesn't help get you thinking. Plugging my assignment into a large language model. The large language model can do it and can do it well. And there is no benefit to the student. And boy, as the professor, I sure don't want to read that garbage. I really don't. So I've taken out assignments, even assignments that were formerly really successful from my class. And instead, I've added more project-based work. It's hard to do in larger classes. This class is particularly well suited, is structured around project work. Depending on the exact nature of the material you're teaching, you're going to have to come up with different approaches that cannot be done by AI and that will get the students thinking. And on top of it all, I've returned to closed book tests on paper because I need to know that the students actually learned something in my class. Saying that you got an A in this class from Georgia Tech should mean something to the rest of the world. So the situation is insanely frustrating for faculty. Students are working less, cheating more. And beyond that, there are bigger structural factors. Class sizes are rising. Particularly at large state schools like Georgia Tech, TA support is dropping. And don't get me started on bureaucratic unfunded mandates for the faculty. If I tried to explain to you what I need to do to get permission to go on a work trip, you would not believe me. The paperwork is all about protecting the university from liability and overwhelmingly a black hole into which I pour my time. All of these things make being a professor harder and harder. These posts on the screen are all from one couple-hour period when I was working on this talk. These are from the subreddit r/professors. The worst AI cheating yet. Art student turning in AI-generated work. In what area is AI use taboo? And finally, summer cannot be here quick enough. We are in danger of losing an entire generation of students who haven't learned much in school, and we're in danger of losing an entire generation of faculty to burnout from all these factors. So a number of large questions come up in response to this. I don't have the answers. The first is, what skills are needed to get meaningful work done with AI? Doing work with AI and without it are different cognitive processes. We need to understand and reinvent our teaching. How do we teach responsible AI use? And I'm particularly interested in the fact that right now, mid-career professionals can take AI output and evaluate it and improve it. They have a decade or more of skill in understanding how to do these tasks themselves. So when you give them some mediocre work done by the machine, they can say, oh, that's not a bad start, and I know how to fix it. If it's code, I need to check the edge cases. There are all kinds of things that a mid-career professional can do. How do we get new mid-career professionals when the AI can do all the beginner tasks? The mid-career professionals got there by practice. What is the new learning that gets you to that state of understanding the pieces and how they fit together? So I have a number of lessons for different audiences. If you are an academic administrator, I would ask you to give your faculty the support they need. They need time to redesign classes, and that means teaching release. That means resources. Second, if you're an educational researcher or research funder, I believe that we need a giant moonshot project to figure out how to reinvent education in the presence of AI. We need a massive investment in research. Nothing about how to do this right is obvious. If you're a teacher, I would say, please don't ban AI. You're burying your head in the sand. Whether it's the right thing or not for the world, your students are going to use it in the workplace. We need to learn how to teach them to use it well and responsibly. Also, don't despair. I hope there are moments when you can have fun with this, to say, wait, I've been doing this the same way for a while. Now is a moment when I reinvent. Now is a moment when I can be creative and innovative in my teaching practice. And please ask for the support you need. Tell your administrator, I need some time off to redesign this class. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it, but it's going to take me time. I need resources to do this right. I can't just magically wave a wand and do it the right way. Finally, for students, I would like all of you students to, when you take a class, think about what your own goals are. Why are you taking it? What are you hoping to get out of it? And hold yourself accountable, not for meeting someone else's goals, but for meeting your own goals. Take a deep breath, and if a course seems kind of silly to you, try and think hard about why it was assigned to you. Some of the time, there will be no blasted reason at all. Okay, just none. But a lot of the time, there's a reason. And you can ask, how is this going to be useful to me? Set your own goals about what you need to learn for your future learning. What are the foundational blocks that will put you in good stead later? And hold yourself accountable for your own learning goals, meeting those goals. Thank you very much. I want to thank the Weber School and especially thank Graham.